Einzelgone, 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 Einzelgone. Yeah, welcome to the channel. This is Naz, and today I'm going to be doing a review for Overlord here, Volume 1. I am doing a review mainly because, yeah, I haven't done it justice. I haven't done the character of Mamenga, of Einzelgone, justice. And there are some aspects that I kind of glossed over and missed. But let's just get in. So we're going to get into the review. We're going to talk about some of the analysis of the character, some of the transformation that he goes through in this volume, the NPCs, the isekai-ness, some of the positives, some of the negatives, the world building, the magic, touch base on some of those things, and then just kind of give an overview of what I think about the series or what I think about this volume. All right, I have to kind of contain it to this volume because this is the beginning. This is kind of like a glimpse into that world. It suffers from what most first volumes suffer from. Kind of like there's a lot of setup, a lot of introduction, and a lot of just information dumps. Sometimes you need that. Just to understand what's going on in the world that we're in. In this world, the main character, Satoru Suzuki, who's basically a human being in Japan, who's discontent with life, the salaryman. I mean, reality. Why do we read books? Okay, because we want to escape from reality. So the escapism, the fantasy, and I think that beginning is important. The discontent, the dissatisfaction with life in general, because there's nothing else that offers him anything. So he's pretty much just going to work, sleep, play the game, eat, sleep, work, play the game, eat. So that's it. That's his life in a nutshell. And I don't think that he's content with the world. And a lot of other people are discontent, so that's why they come to this Yggdrasil, the game, where they're playing, they make their characters, they can put a lot of customization that's involved, and then there's people that are like-minded that they're playing with, so making friends in that world. And it's just to be in that fantastical world and escape from, the constraints of a reality. And that's kind of the beginning. That's the initial setup. And a little bit of thematic thing that's going on, like the character analysis, kind of like Ainz throughout this book goes through a subtle transformation, a metamorphosis that, you can miss it, but it comes out. So once the world, the MP, once him and the Great Tomb of Nazareth is whisked and transmigrated to this new world, once that happens, he slowly tries to do investigation, and it kind of goes through some of the other isekai tropes, the investigation, finding out things. So there's the onion and layers are being peeled off slowly. Now what happens is, some of the cool thing about this one that is way different is that he's not the only one that's reborn in that world, or he's not the only one that's transmigrated to that world. The NPCs that they created, the data, the two dimensional NPCs that the group, the 41 Supreme Commanders, each one made their own little toys, little customizations and creators that some of them program NPCs with so much detail, so much personality. All those characters are given life, sentient beings. They're brought into that world, and they're beings now that have their own motive, their own will, do things of their own volition. Yet at the same time, one of the fears that drives this story, or one of the fears that drives Mamenga, is that he's afraid of not living up to the standard, because he's the guildmaster, and the NPCs know that he's the guildmaster. So him being the leader, he's afraid of falling short of that responsibility. So that is the reason, the motive behind some of the decisions that he makes. So he wants to be this, he acts the part. He's afraid that they might find out that he's a fraud. And so that's one of the fears. Sometimes it's unfounded, sometimes it's annoying. I think sometimes he's kind of like he kind of focuses on that and just has a narrow tunnel vision because of that fear, sometimes as a character. And that also creates the next part that I want to go into, the NPCs themselves. Not that they're sentient beings and that they have their own motive. Well, what about their loyalties? What about their motivations and what they want to do? And it's when they're put in the same scenario with Mamenga, the different interpretations from the same scene. That is like one of the coolest things that I saw. That made me laugh, that made me giggle, because it's the understanding that each character walks away from that is just drastic. It's drastically different, and it's like night and day. Sometimes it's cool. Like one of the whole thesis, the driving force of the whole book, and some of the reasons why the NPCs behave the way they behave. It was a fluke, like it's an accident that I'm not gonna mention what happens, but it is a cool scene. It was refreshing, and there are other scenes that I think also touch, the character of Mamenga, because, like I said in the beginning, he was disheartened, he's lonely, he's abandoned. And then from there, him being a human, Satoru Suzuki, the character, the human Satoru Suzuki, becomes Momenga, becomes Ainzel Gong. So there's a transition of him, shedding that ulterior, him shedding the humanity. So slowly he's deteriorating into becoming the grotesque character that he is, the Overlord. There. And in Volume 2, something else might happen. So in the beginning, like before when I was reading it, I was kind of concerned, like, what type of story is this gonna be? So is this the hero's journey? Is this the anti-hero? Is this another take? So are we seeing him play that part of the villain in this new world? Is he gonna be the conqueror? Is he gonna be the last boss? Some of those implications are there, but this doesn't really touch much on it, because this is just the initial, the peak. Is like a peek, sneak peek into that world, what's to come, a foreshadowing. A lot of groundwork is put in place. So in a sense, you could take the pacing in two things. You could say that the slow burn is cool. You could love it because it takes its time building the characters, the internal monologues, and just kind of fleshing out a lot of details. But at the same time, it can be like a slow progress, like a crawl towards the destination. The journey just began and we're walking. We're about to go, I don't know how long we're about to go, but we're just walking all day. And it can feel like that at some point. Whereas on some days I feel like that it is a positive. I'm happy that I'm spending time with Albedo. I'm spending, I'm seeing this little POV here. I'm happy with, the interaction that whatever his monologue, I'm happy about it. Internal monologue. And sometimes I'm like, can it just move faster along? Let me get some action. So it could be a positive or a negative, the pacing, depending on. Now the writing is a little bit more subjective for me. I felt it grew on me eventually, but in the beginning, I was kind of, I wasn't really hating it. Like I didn't dislike the writing. It was just more, I was slowly reading. Like, I don't know if it's me, if I'm a slow reader, but there are other books where I just like devour them in like a day or two, whereas this one would take me like a week of that. So moving on, let's go to the NPCs and give them their due. We have Albedo, who actually gets twerked. I don't want to mention what happens to her. So because of that, her personality is worked. There is Sabius, who I think we don't get much of him in this volume. I think this volume really just shows a little bit of Aurora and Miera or something. Yeah, the two twins and their dynamic and how they're drastically different. And Demirog spends a little bit of time with Imes. And the other person that spends the majority of the time with Albedo. Albedo is really the character, and Sebas. The other characters, Kakaidas and Demiraj and Shaltir, they will shine later on, I think. Shaltir specifically. But I don't know. Actually, Shaltir is kind of like my favorite at the moment. But the interaction between Shaltir, Aurora, and there's like a little rivalry like going on between her and also Albedo, and some of the conversation that they have themselves. So the POVs switches to them. So this is like one of the things that the anime is very, very lacking. That it does not give the POV, like it doesn't give it adequate justice to each of these separate NPCs and their quirks. I think because I think this is adapted into like just 3 volumes, if I'm not mistaken, 3 volumes, and it kind of felt rushed. So if you watch the anime and read this will be very, very helpful. Like it'll be supplement. You'll be happier for it. Whereas if you come and read the book by itself and then go watch the anime, you'll be disappointed by the anime because you'll be like, what is this? It skimmed the whole thing, So kind of it depends on where you start. So I kind of watched the anime and then read this. So like the anime did its job. It advertised enough for me to pick up this. So I don't know, but if you read this and then you're watching the anime, you might feel dissatisfied because it doesn't do it enough justice. Yeah. So me, overall, I'm gonna call it a thematic. Like I'm gonna put a lens on it, my own critical lens on it, and say that it's kind of like the discontent with reality that Ainz has manifests in him slowly but surely transmigration, which happens for him to go into another world, but at the same time, him in body, mind, and spirit reforming himself and transforming and metamorphosing into this being, this grotesque, and actually him becoming eyes, wool, go, and becoming that grotesque character, and just shedding his humanity, losing his humanity, and becoming this character, this being, this leash, this and I think it's that is the jackal to hide, you know, from Bruce Wayne to Batman. The Dark Knight Rises. That is kind of the juxtaposition. That's the transformation that I see in this one. Uh, what I want to see more of for me is what is it? Gazov, Stornhoff, the one of the I think one of the royal elect, and if he's the only one, but I want to see more characters beside him of this world, get more POVs, and actually get developed. That's my hope. Even though I kind of know what happens 4 volumes in, 5 volume in at the moment. But for this one, so like my aspirations and hopes after reading this is to see more, more of these other characters from E-Rental, the Theocracy, and then I think it's the Empire. So there are 3 different kingdoms, the politics of this world. Also, the Crane Village and the 2 girls. Eventually, something happens later on, so more of them would be cool. But all in all, I am happy that I revisited this. I probably will revisit it again, so it's good. So would I recommend this? Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, this does it better justice. That was the point of this whole review, to do it justice. Ein so go, ein so go. Anyways, with that, I am gonna be out. Please leave a like, comment. Let me know what you guys thought about the writing. If if you felt that it was how you felt about the writing. So some people, like I said, it's subjective. The pacing, some of the characters. If you read it, if you haven't read it, pick it up. Read it. It's one of the better isekais. So with that, I am out. Peace.